Imagine you're running your business and everything seems fine, and then bam, you get hit with a $25,000 lawsuit. This sounds scary, right? That's exactly what happened to one business recently, and guess what? The reason was something most people don't even think about: their website's tracking software. Stick around, because in the next couple of minutes, I'm breaking down how these lawsuits work, what you can do to avoid them, and how capping compliance could save your business from becoming the next cautionary tale. All right, so here's the deal. California has some of the strictest privacy laws in the United States, and one of the big ones is the California Invasion of Privacy Act, better known as CIPA. This law, which has been around since the 1960s, has taken on a whole new meaning in the age of websites, cookies, and tracking pixels. And businesses that aren't careful can end up with a whole lot of legal trouble if they don't follow CIPA. So let's start with a real example to set the stage. A fan entertainment site got slapped with a lawsuit from someone called Aaron Wilkes. The issue? The fan entertainment site used a tool called Metapixel. If you don't know what that is, it's basically a piece of code that tracks what users are doing on your site. It seems pretty harmless, right? Wrong. Aaron claimed that this pixel tracked his personal activity and even shared it with Facebook without his consent. And here's where things get messy. According to CIPA, every single instance of unauthorized data collection can cost a business upwards of $5,000. It doesn't matter if it was just a quick visit to your site. Every little click and interaction counts as a potential violation. So how do these lawsuits actually happen? The process is pretty straightforward. One is detection. So if someone figures out that your website is collecting data without their permission. This could happen because of third-party tracking tools like Metapixel or analytics software. Two is evidence gathering. The claimant, like Aaron Wilkes in our example, uses tools like HAR files or activity logs to prove their data was collected. They'll even go as far as pulling up screenshots from their Facebook account to show off-site activity that links back to your site. And three is the demand letter. So before going to court, the claimant will typically send a letter outlining their claims, like the one we saw earlier. Four is arbitration or a lawsuit. If you don't settle, it's off to arbitration or a full-blown lawsuit. And that's where things really start adding up in terms of costs. And here's the kicker. Even if you claim users consented to your terms of service, that argument doesn't always hold up in court. Judges have ruled that retroactive consent doesn't cut it. Now, let's talk about why this keeps happening. The biggest mistake that businesses make is assuming that adding a privacy policy or cookie banner to their site is enough. Spoiler alert, it isn't. Here's why. Many websites automatically start tracking website visitors the moment they land on the page. That's a violation if consent hasn't been explicitly given first. Even if the user agrees to this later, the tracking might have already started. That's where companies like this fan entertainment site get into trouble. And let's not forget about third-party tracking tools. Services like Facebook, Google, and even email trackers often collect way more information than you think. And your business could be legally responsible for this. Okay, so how do you actually make sure this does not happen to you? Here's a checklist for you. One is to audit your website. Go through every single script or tool on your site. Are they collecting users' data? If so, what kind of data? You need to know this information. Two is to set up your website in a way that explicit consent is collected first. Make sure your site doesn't load any tracking tools or cookies before you just give explicit confirmation. Three is to update your privacy policy. This is an absolute must. Clearly outline what data you're collecting and why. And yes, people actually need to be able to find this and understand it. Four is to vet your vendors. If you're using third-party tools, ask questions. What data are they collecting? Are they compliant with laws like CIPA and GDPR? And finally, let's be real. This stuff can get complicated really fast. That's why it's worth bringing in a compliance expert to review your setup. Speaking of which, this is where Capital Compliance swoops in to save your day. If you're overwhelmed with all this legal jargon and tech talk, we've got you covered. Capital Compliance specializes in helping businesses navigate tricky privacy laws like CIPA. We'll perform a thorough audit on your website and systems. We'll also help you implement airtight consent mechanisms, and will also help you review third-party vendors to ensure they aren't putting you at risk. And the best part is we'll give you peace of mind so you can focus on running your business without constantly looking over your shoulder for the next lawsuit. So here's the bottom line. Privacy lawsuits are on the rise, and they're not going away anytime soon. The last thing you want is end up like this fan entertainment site, shelling out thousands and thousands of dollars because of one tiny piece of code on your website. So if you're serious about protecting your business, now is the time to act. Contact Captain Compliance today and make sure you're covered before your next headline.